What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Leading Off, the Fantasy Pros Baseball Podcast. We are presented by Bet365. If you bet $5, you'll get 150 in bonus bets when you use that promo code Leading Off, and that is only with our friends over at Bet365. It's not the season finale for the show, but for myself, Joe Rico, and my dear friend and co-host Casey Bubba, this is the last time you will see us on Fantasy Pros for the season. Really appreciate all you guys who continued listening in. The Peanuts and Cracker Jacks in the live chat have really kept the shows going as well. So thank you to all involved. This is our last show, so we're going to make it a good one. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things today, playoff races, some streamers, injury updates, all the usual stuff. We're going to have some fun. Bubba, how you doing today?
Doing great. Glad to be here for the last hurrah of the diehard baseball guys that we are. So it's good to be here. The football guys will come back, and Joe will pretend he knows what's going on in September and all that fun stuff. So you guys will enjoy that and make fun of them all you want with your Peanuts and Cracker Jacks. But yeah, we're here to get you some streamers, get you to the finish line for those that are still grinding. So thanks. Looking forward to it. And if you're in the Southeast, stay safe. Things are looking nasty down your way.
I haven't seen what's going on.
Hurricanes coming through. Like there's a chance like tomorrow's gonna be a complete washout of Atlanta and the Mets. There's like 0% chance that plays. And right now there's about a 40% chance of rain starting in about an hour there. They have a night game. So things could get interesting in the Southeast and for the next couple of days.
That's what it was, because I heard some people online saying there's a chance for the games to get delayed, and then the Braves might get to throw sail in not game 163, but game 162 to kind of decide all the marbles. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the wild card stuff in a second, but that would be quite the advantage of getting to use Chris Sale a second time there, considering the season he's put together. It'll all be fun. It always is pretty fun following these races in the last week of the season, and that's where our story begins today, talking about the Padres. This was pretty cool. You don't usually see this, but they punched their ticket to October with a game-ending triple play to leave Shohei Ohtani in the on-deck circle. Bubba, were you watching this one? What were your thoughts on this crazy situation that happened?
I was recording last night's Bubba and the Bloom, had the game on in the background, and I was kind of looking at it like, what just happened there? Kind of confused. And then we finished our recording like right about that same time, and I got like a million alerts on my phone about Padres clinched the postseason. They ended with a triple play, all this stuff, and it was absolutely amazing. And it was poetic justice that one of the worst managers in baseball doesn't bunt in that scenario. And he had the bunt on for the first pitch, apparently, and then wiped it off after the first pitch. And then that took place. I say it not just, I know it's a Giants Dodgers thing, but Dave Roberts has cost that team so many big games down the line. Like he's been blessed with the great team. And to see it end like that last night just made me laugh so much for the years of everyone telling me how great the Dodgers are and the Giants suck. But we have 3 World Series, like legit World Series in the last 15 years, unlike the Dodgers.
The rivalry is alive and well, folks. But yeah, I have heard a lot of criticism of Dave Roberts. It seems like every year we get down to this time, and I don't know how true it is because I don't focus on it so much, not being a California guy, but they're not usually as prepared as they maybe should be. And it definitely feeds into some of the rivalry there for sure. Is Bubba rooting for the Padres? Joseph in the chat is wondering.
I'm a big Padres fan. I wouldn't mind seeing the D-backs, but the Giants have been beating them down the last 2 nights, which made me laugh because I did not see that coming. But if I had to pick an NL team, it's Phillies and Padres for me. Those are the two that I'm really, really pulling for. It's hard not to love that Phillies team, man. They're so much fun. Like the last few years in the postseason, watching them celebrate, they're a blast. But this Padres team is cool too. Like there's a lot to like there with them. So yeah, I'm rooting for pretty much 11 teams not named the Dodgers should win, and I'm a fan.
As long as the World Series doesn't go back to Chavez Ravine, Bubba will be a happy fella at the end of the season. I do want to talk a little bit about some of these final wild card spots because we are down to just a few games left. Let's talk about the American League to start off here, Bubba, just briefly, because we'll get into the fantasy stuff. But what do you expect to happen with those final 2 wild card spots? Do you expect it to be, as it currently sits, the Tigers and the Royals, the Twins and the Mariners also have a chance? And I guess the Red Sox, if they run very pure here, could have a mathematical chance. How do you see those final 2 spots breaking down, though?
I think the Tigers, man, this is like a momentum thing. We've seen it year after year. Like, I'm not saying they're going to the World Series like the D-backs were, but it feels like every year we get like one team that just runs so pure at the end. They find their way in the postseason. Now, how far does it get from there? Who knows? But I think the Tigers are getting in for sure. And the Royals have the advantage on them technically. But if you go to FanGraphs, Tigers 87.5%, Royals 82%. So it looks like they're pretty much locked in. You mentioned though that well, that's actually for the they're pretty much locked into the playoffs right there. The Twins have a shot, like you mentioned, and you're looking at the Red Sox. It's like a slimmer of a hope, like 0.7% right now for the Red Sox. So the Twins are going to need a miracle. I feel like it's a Tigers-Royals situation there, which is fun for baseball. Two new teams we haven't seen in a while. The Royals have fallen off of late because if you would have had this question early September, you would think they'd have a chance to like make a little noise in the postseason. But they got the pitching. You got Reagans, you got Lugo, and Walker's no slouch. That'll keep you in a lot of playoff games. But Tigers, come on. Tariq Skubal, game one of a playoff game. Like, let's go. That's pretty fun stuff.
I think the question at this point is who's getting the ball in game two. I think that's the only real problem.
Montero, the guy you want to go to battle with, like that is like Brett Herter's actually probably been the best number 2 option of late. And that's the conundrum. And that's why certain teams just can't go the distance. Like if the Tigers win the whole dang thing, that's like beyond proving any analytic person correct. So that'll be nuts. But I'd love to see Skubal. It's like the old theory, like would it be great to see Trout in the playoffs. Like there's certain players that just they deserve the big stage once in a while. And the year Skubal's having right now, I know we've talked about it all the time on this show. Like, dude, just put him on the stage for one game, let him have it, and I'll give the Tigers fans credit. They're coming out in droves. I saw a tweet from a beat writer today. The weekend series in Detroit is almost all sold out already. All 3 games in Detroit. Like that's insane for the Tigers. So it's cool to see.
And our friend Marty Tallman, I don't know if you saw yesterday, he won himself some free tickets courtesy of the Tigers. So good for him to get out there and support. We got a lot of Detroit beats.
The Tigers get it, man. Like they're a franchise that doesn't fill up the place. They don't spend a lot of money. But hey, we need to push these young kids to go. Here's some free tickets. Like they gave out a bunch. That's smart baseball. Unlike Pittsburgh, that is smart baseball.
Oh, we'll talk a little bit about Pittsburgh and the pocketbooks a little bit later on. I think that Minnesota might have a chance just based on the schedule. They have a couple games left against the Marlins, and then they'll be facing the Orioles to end the season, who won't really be playing for so much. Where with Kansas City, they got to end up facing the Braves, who will be playing for a lot. So I don't think it's set in stone, that final spot there. I thought the Twins, like a couple weeks ago, I would have thought that they had a chance to maybe be a World Series team. Really good offense, solid, 3-headed monster in the rotation, good bullpen, but they have really, really fallen apart here. In terms of the National League here, it's the Mets, the Diamondbacks, and the Braves are the only teams that are really competing for those final 2 spots, Bubba. I'm a little bit worried for the Mets. What do you think is going to happen, though? I feel like they're probably going to be the odd man out based on the way things are trending, but what do you think?
Yeah, it's rough. I still think it depends on how this whole rain thing plays out. I know it's kind of a cop-out answer. Atlanta, like there was all these jokes on Sunday. They're going to their house of horror. They stink in Atlanta. And dude, they got smoked. Like they were red hot coming in, got smoked on Tuesday night. Schwelly's a beast. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, you got Sale and you got Fried coming up. Like they have their 3 best lined up to face the Mets. I still have a weird feeling the Mets get through. I really do. I agree. It's almost a coin toss. Like if you look at Fangraphs projections, Mets are 77%, Braves are 70%. I think it's closer than that. I think it's like that number probably flips if the Braves win tonight. Like it's that simple. It's that close of a coin toss situation. And you're mentioning the schedule coming up here. You got, like you said, Atlanta gets Kansas City this weekend. Singer, Lugo, Reagans, not a cakewalk scenario there. And that's if that stays in line, of course. And then you got this Mets team that hopefully isn't reeling after this, but they get Milwaukee, who might be off. You got Ray, Montas, Myers. Their pitchers aren't going deep. I think Mets are set up for a better weekend. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, we've also talked about how the Brewers are probably going to be facing, they're probably through with the drinking for now with the celebrating, but they're not playing for much at this point. So if you don't see the A-team lineups, if you see a starter get scratched or something there, don't be shocked. It could really go either way in the National League with the Braves and the Mets. They always tend to play each other in the final week of the season, which does make things pretty fun. Yeah. Sticking in Atlanta, Spencer Schwellenbach had a great final start of the season to kind of cap off a breakout year for him, really. 7 innings of 1-run ball with 4 strikeouts. He finishes up with a 3.47 ERA and a 1.07 whip over 20 game starts. I kind of want to pair him with the next guy, Tanner Bybee, who had a great year himself. 7 innings of 1-run ball himself yesterday, and he'll finish with the exact same ERA of 3.47 with a 1.12 whip. So just thinking about both of these guys separately or together, I kind of wanted to frame them together because I think there's a chance they go pretty close in drafts next season. What are your thoughts on the pair, Bubba, and who would you be more interested in trusting in 2025 drafts as probably your SP2, I would imagine?
I'm still a Tanner Bybee guy, but it's probably more just biased because I was all in on Bybee this year. Like I wrote articles on him, and I got a lot of pushback early in the preseason. Like I was overexcited on him, and he made the adjustments, and it was great to see. That's no downplay on Schwellenbach. Like he's absolutely amazing as well. But it's kind of like the whole: are you paying for the career year? Is this his career year? A lot of questions to be said about Schwellenbach there. It's quite the jump he took. Massive increase in innings as well. I'm going to lean with the Bybee camp on this one. He's the ace of their staff, so to be your SP2 is pretty sweet. Now Schwelly is a great option B if that's how it plans out, but I'm going to go with Bybee on this one.
Do you think they will go close together? I know it's way too early, but it feels like they'll probably be in a similar type of range in terms of SPs and overall. Am I crazy there?
No, they'll be pretty close. Like Bybee will probably be around 5 or 6, give or take, on maybe 4 if he creeps up, but he'll be an SP2. And like Schwellenbach in that early draft I did was 10th round, and we all said, hey,
Wow.
that was late August. Like he's going to move up, and he keeps pitching better and better. He should be a 5th or 6th round pick when all things are said and done. So yeah, they should be going quite close together for sure.
That'll be an interesting one to monitor. I think it's just because the ERAs are ending on the same number. I figured it was a decent discussion point. But I think Bowden Francis is also somebody that deserves a bit of our time. I don't know if we've talked too much about him on the show. I'm sure he's come up, but I think he deserves a little segment here. Another shutout outing from him yesterday, albeit just 5 innings. They could have probably let him go a little bit longer. I think it was like 71, 72 pitches, but we'll take it. Over the second half, 1.80 ERA and a 0.60 whip. It's unbelievable type of numbers that you'd say. If you just saw those numbers, you'd think, all right, that was DeGrom. Maybe that was Strider. But the 0.6 whip is just absurd. He's going to finish with a 3.3 ERA and a 0.93 whip over 103 and 2/3 innings. Am I insane to think he'll get 1 or 2 down ballot Cy Young votes after this performance? I know the innings are a bit lacking, but he's been the best pitcher in baseball in the second half of the season. I think he might get 1 or 2, but is that just the Toronto homer popping out in me?
No, like maybe no. I do think he should get some. If it's either 3rd, 4th place votes, he should get some acknowledgement on the Cy Young. You know, there should be 100% going to one guy in Detroit, and then you fill in the blanks afterwards on that. So I don't see an issue with Francis getting some 3rd, 4th round type stuff.
I don't know how interested I'm going to be heading into the next season. I feel like he's gotten a lot of BABIP block, and there will be some concerns for me taking him too early next year. But man, like this, it's a shame that the Blue Jays wasted this in a season where it didn't matter. But one of the best stretches I've ever seen from a starting pitcher, and maybe that we'll ever see from a starting pitcher.
Yeah,
0.6 whip in like 70 innings. Unbelievable stuff he did for your ratios. We got a question here regarding a couple of pitchers. How would we order Schwellenbach, Yuri, and Sandy Alcantara for next season? So
Schwelly because he's
Sandy's
healthy.
going to be healthy to start the year.
Yeah,
Schwelly's
I go
healthy, but I
Schwelly.
think Alcantara's healthy heading in. Sorry, Bubba. I think Alcantara is kind of close to healthy now, so I think he'll be ready to start the year. But you
Yeah,
sounds
he
like you're
will be.
Schwellenbach over Alcantara.
Schwellenbach because he finished the year. Alcantara did not throw this
Yeah,
year. So I'd have Alcantara
yeah.
2nd, Yuri 3rd. That's my only difference. Like Alcantara is, maybe the best. I've always been a little down on him because he has to accumulate. So how much is he going to accumulate next year is the question. So I'm gonna go Schwellenbach just because he finished this year on the mound.
I think that's totally fair. Yeah, when you see guys get hurt in the year or they don't throw at all, it definitely makes you worry, wonder what they're going to look like coming into next season. Um, I think I'm probably on the same page. I wouldn't really have much of a problem going Yuri over Sandy just because of some of the things you mentioned, like the strikeouts, the volume concerns. But like Angelo said here, Yuri was kind of born on the injured reserve. It's hard to know when he's going to be healthy or not. He's dealt with a lot of stuff considering, what is he, 21? Like he's gone through quite a bit at this point.
Yeah, very, very young, and talent's there. It's got to somehow stay healthy, man. It's an issue with the you got Lazaro, Yuri, Alcantara, Garrett. Like that's almost every pitcher in Miami has had issues, and must be a Florida thing. Tampa Bay and Miami having some fun stuff with the elbows.
And the Dodgers, who had at some points
Yeah,
this year 2 whole rotations worth of pitchers on the IL. They had like 9 pitchers, good pitchers on the IL at certain points this season. Let's change gears and talk about some hitters. And we'll start in your neck of the woods, Bubba, with Elliot. Is it Elliot? I think it's Elliot
that's
Ramos, right?
Elliott. Yeah, I was
His
telling
name is
Ryan
butchered.
a ways back when I went to the Giants game for the first time early this season, and they announced him in warmups as Elliot Ramos. I was like, "What? And so now it's Elliott from here on out.
I still hear Helliot, Helio, Elio. I hear all these kind of names, but it's Elliott. It just imagine that the H is not there essentially. But he went 4 for 5 yesterday. Hit his 23rd homer of the season. Looking at 270 batting average, 121 WRC plus, almost an 800 OPS, and a fairly small sample size of 118 games. It's fairly small, but it's also fairly large depending on how you want to look at it. What's your interest level heading into next season, Bubba? You've got to watch him up close and personal this year. Is he actually a breakout star, or is this something that we should probably be wary of in drafts next year?
I'm a fan. I'm a big fan of what we saw this year. He was a big-time prospect, one of our top prospects for a while. People thought he failed, kind of like Luis Matos, and maybe Matos figures it out. It's like I know I've said it on this show and many shows. Young players need reps. It's just that simple. And they finally just ran with him. He had a couple hot streaks. He had a couple slumps. They stuck with him, and he's put together a really good season. He's a staple in the lineup. He's going to be the starting left fielder for hopefully years to come in San Francisco. And is he going to be an MVP? I don't know if he has that level, but could the dude be a 270 hitter that gets you close to 30 home runs each year? Like, that's legit who Elliot Ramos can be. And I'm a big fan of him going forward. ADP wise, it gets interesting because there's a lot of outfielders in play there, but he could be a very, very strong asset. Just the speed, he'll have some, but not ton. So that's what will probably push him down a little bit. But I think everything else pretty solid. I think he's got 150 combined runs and RBIs too. Like, he's putting together a pretty strong season for the Giants. And that's why I tweeted last night when he hit his home run. I said, I know Skeens, I know Jackson Merrill. I just hope Elliott gets a few Rookie of the Year votes to acknowledge how good he actually has been this season.
He's been fantastic, and I think part of that. Once you said that, I went and looked at the betting odds in the National League. It's just such a stacked field, and in the American League, it's like
Nothing.
It almost feels like it's going to go to somebody by default. Like, okay,
Yeah.
I guess it's going to be Heel. I guess it'll be Cowser. I guess it'll be Wells or whoever. In the NL, there's like 5 or even more legitimate Rookie of the Years in most seasons. Skeens, Merrill, absolutely a lot of seasons getting it done. Churio in a lot of seasons is getting it done. And then Shota Imanaga, who probably will end up on some Cy Young ballots, but the fact that he's 31 years old probably takes some of that away. But it is a stacked field in the National League. And somebody else who could potentially be there in a less stacked season, Tyler Fitzgerald, who I believe still has rookie eligibility, even though he's a little bit older. I think he's 26, but hell of a season he's put together in just 92 games. And he had a home run yesterday, which is partly why he's on the sheet, but also we're starting to wrap up the year a little bit. I wanted to evaluate things as a whole now to some extent. A 287 batting average, 15 homers and 17 steals over 92 games. That prorated out over a whole season is it is a first round type of player, but you're looking at a high strikeout rate. You're not looking at a great track record, not a bad one, but not somebody that you would have thought would be a star. What's your interest level in Fitzgerald, and would you prioritize him over Ramos? I know different positions and all that, but the two Giants assets there, where do you put them?
Obviously, the lazy answer depends on your format. 5 outfielders, probably Ramos. If you need speed, Fitzgerald. Like, I took Fitzgerald in round 11 of that too early draft because I want 20-20 upside in my middle infield. And I understand the strikeout rate's gotten better. And this is, again, a young player getting tight, like regular reps. He's the starting shortstop. He's going to be the starting shortstop next year. He plays pretty good defense. He's been in a pretty good slump of late. They kept running him out there. They just moved him down the order, kept running him out there. Bat's starting to wake up again. Like, young players will do this. And I think there is a lot of talent. Like, I try not to be a homer. If anybody's listened to me long enough, I'm very narcissistic when it comes. I'm very, very angry when it comes to my Giants. Like, there's no sugarcoating that. But when I see like development, that's something I like to see. Ramos has developed. Fitzgerald has developed. Wisely, even this time around, starting to look like he took a lefty deep yesterday. Like, he's starting to look like a little bit better ball player. I'm not all in on him yet, but the future's not as bleak as I once thought. We'll see. They still have to sign free agents. That's a whole nother podcast. But I'm very optimistic when we're seeing with Fitzgerald. And I think if you want like a power speed guy, say we talk about how shortstop dries up. If you miss out on shortstop, not a bad plan B.
Not bad at all. And they've already locked up Matt Chapman. Let's see if they open up the pocketbooks a little more this offseason. I'm sure Bubba is hoping for it. But I want to shout out Ryan in the chat here real quick. Thanks, Joe and Bubba. Won the ship a few weeks ago, enjoying the sweet taste of victory. You enjoy that, Ryan. Enjoy the last couple weeks of the season, or the couple days of the season at this point. Hang that banner. It will fly forever for you, my friend. Let's talk about Michael Harris before we jump into some injuries. He's been on an absolute ridiculous heater. Multiple hits in 5 consecutive games, and in 4 of them, he has 3 hits over the last 2 weeks. He's hitting .407 unbelievable stuff. I feel like he's probably going to be somebody that I've kind of gone back and forth, interested, not that interested, but it's hard to look at what he's done as of late and think that the Braves will be fully healthy next year and not be interested. Where do you think Michael Harris is going to go, Bubba? Third round or so? And would you have interest where he is going to go, you think?
Yeah, he's a third rounder for sure. It's a lot of that. I think, everyone's going to see the shiny new toy. They're going to go Jackson Merrill. They're going to go Jackson Churio and those things where last year, that's where Michael Harris was going. So it's just going to push him down by default. And it's like, again, I keep saying I want the back end around 1 right now. A lot can change. Obviously, it's September 25th for crying out loud, but it's so loaded. You get like 2 great picks right there. And in reality, you can get Michael Harris as well. Like you could set up for like a just Thunderdome in the back end there. So I think he will fall just by default because there's so many good players, and it could be a nice little bounce back spot because you're not expecting the massive batting average, but the power speed's legit. And the only question is, Acuna will be back. Where does Harris hit? That's the $1 million question.
If he's hitting second, I would love it. If he's down at 9th, I wouldn't hate it, but definitely wouldn't like it as much. The argument is he would like turn over for Acuna and Albies and Riley and whoever else. So it's not terrible. We've seen him produce from that spot before. I'd like to see him at the top of the order, though. But just an incredible season. And to your point, the outfield in the 3rd and 4th round next year is going to be pretty good. You're going to be able to double tap a couple of those guys. Hell, even at the back end of the first, you might be able to take 4 outfielders in your first 4 picks: Julio, Carroll, Churio, Mike Harris. Hypothetically, if you're drafting at like the back end of the first round, I don't know that if that's something I'd want to do necessarily, but it doesn't sound too shabby as of right now if you're able to get all 4 of those guys.
No, man, it's the old philosophy I've been trying to instill the last couple of years, and I bring it up on a lot of my shows, is we got to stop focusing so much on positions. Yes, you need to fill a roster, but in the end, it's the final stat line that matters. So if these are the 4 best players, all right, let's rock and roll. Like 2 years ago, I think it was a labor draft. Ryan took 5 outfielders in his first 7 picks, and he was not happy on the live stream. He won the league. So you just build the best team. That's where like a Fitzgerald comes into play now at stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something even just last year, like Altuve and Bryson Stott were both targets of mine. And there came some drafts where I was like, especially early on, I was like, oh, I have Altuve. I don't need to take Stott. Throw him in the middle infield. It wasn't like he was an amazing player this year, but throw him in the middle infield, throw him in the utility spot, wherever it is, you can find room. It's why the Ohtani DH clogging that whole thing up. I think it's kind of gone with the dodo bird over the last couple of years between him and what Ozuna's done as well. I don't think people mind clogging up the DH with those type of numbers. But let's go on to the injury segment. We'll talk Nestor Cortez. He's going to undergo an MRI on his elbow on Friday. Does not look like we're going to see him again in the regular season, Bubba. I think you can probably, if you're in a daily league at this point, just cut bait and pick somebody else up.
Yes, the only weird caveat I'd say, just wait for the results because he's still technically scheduled to pitch tonight. So if for some reason it's just like a minor thing where they move him back a day, you're going to want that. Someone in the chat way early on, I think, was mentioning they asked if it was Poteet starting. Right now, it's rumored to be Marcus Stroman jumping in there for that spot start. He's been in the bullpen. But if the result obviously comes back negative, you drop Nestor Cortez. 100% on board there. But as wonky as things are right now, just sit back because the Orioles are not good versus lefties of late. So if somehow you get Nestor, I'd run with it.
Second half Orioles have been really not good. I want to pair a couple of guys together here. Francisco Lindor and Yordan Alvarez. They're both, for Lindor, it's in play that he could come back today. Not sure if it's 100% going to happen. Yordan Alvarez hoping to get back in the lineup this weekend. I guess my question is for those people playing in weekly or semi-weekly lineups, if you're on the NFBC, you got to set a Friday through the weekend lineup. Are you putting these guys in if we don't have any clarity? Like, let's say they have to miss Friday. Are you putting them in? It looks like Lindor will be back. I guess this is specifically a Yordan Alvarez question. How confident do you feel that he is going to play over the weekend?
Well, I'll give you this much because about maybe 5 minutes before we started recording, Chandler Rome of the Houston Astros beat reporter said Yordan Alvarez and Chas McCormick will not accompany the Astros to Cleveland. They'll stay back and train with the team. So that answers your question.
So that puts a bow on his season, I guess.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So Yordan Alvarez, get him out of your lineups, I guess. That's a tough one to do at this time of year, but if he's not going to play, he's not going to play. Lindor looks a little rosier. Somebody in the chat saying that he grabbed a bat last night. I don't think he actually had an at bat. I think you mean like in the dugout he grabbed a bat or something. I think
he's getting loose. I'm just worried with the way the weather's so bad. What are you doing?
That's another point. Yeah. Like if he, takes a bad swing and strains something or something, plus you got to worry about the weather. Although it is, the guy who's going to come second in MVP voting. So it's not somebody that you really want to put on your bench, but it's a tricky situation. If we don't have an update, or we'll probably will, but let's say Friday he's scratched. I think he's probably somebody I'm sitting for the weekend.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an up in the air. I sat him for the first half of the week, so second half, I need to see a lot more positive news in that direction.
Let's talk. Clayton Kershaw will not face hitters this week, and there isn't currently a plan for when that will happen. No idea when he is going to face hitters. So he's not going to pitch in the regular season. That seems clear enough. Any chance you think that Kershaw pitches in the playoffs? And hell, do the Dodgers want him pitching in the playoffs?
Right now, it's literally, I don't think he pitches in the playoffs. I think we've seen the last of Kershaw this season, unless a miraculous change takes place in his health, because he looked like he was going to face pitchers or hitters on Tuesday, and he's basically shut down again. So I'm not feeling too optimistic about that.
The last piece of injury news is another bad one. No good stuff comes out this time of year, really. Austin Riley's season is done. He will not be available for the postseason as he continues to recover from a fractured hand. You think that him missing the last couple weeks of the season potentially takes a round or two off the price next year? Like you said, finishing healthy? No?
Nah, he was hitting the ball so well. It's kind of a freak injury. I think he'll be ready to rock and roll for the regular season. You might get a discount and take advantage of it.
If I do see a discount, I probably will. Although, as a whole, it was pretty disappointing season, but I think the Braves just had some bad juju this year. I'll be willing to invest back into them next season. Let's run through some potential streamers for those of you still in the hunt this week. We're going to talk about a few guys for the daily lineups. Obviously, weeklies are long done for the year. But let's talk about tonight. Cody Bradford and Brady Basso on either side of the equation, Bubba, Oakland and Texas. If you're in a daily league, are you streaming either of these guys? I think I would with Bradford. What do you think?
I love them both. And I just want to throw out, I think Basso's very, very good, because in September, Texas is striking out 34% of the time versus lefties, hitting 149 with a 35 WRC plus as a team. That is atrocious stuff. So I like both those pitchers. And I'll throw one more out there real quick for you. Joey Cantillo going up against the Reds, a team hitting 171 with a 38 WRC plus with a 29% K rate versus lefties in the month of September. So Cantillo is another one who's actually been pretty good of late. So there's some nice Wednesday streams for you.
There are some decent options. Looking into Thursday, again, these are not all set in stone. I just kind of want to get Bubba's thoughts on a couple of them. The first one's a little bit dicey, I will admit. Kyle Gibson at Colorado. Colorado is really not a team that scares me. Gibson is kind of whatever, but let's say it's a 15-team league here, Bubba, NL only type of deal. You streaming him in deeper leagues, or are you trying to steer clear of Kyle Gibson?
Deeper leagues you could stream. Shallow leagues, no, because you said the Rockies don't scare you. Kyle Gibson scares me. So that's the difference there. But in deeper formats, yes, you still roll Kyle out there because it is a chance at a W.
You got Kumar Rocker at Oakland tomorrow. I know that it hasn't been maybe as good as we would have hoped, but still pretty decent stuff against a team like Oakland. I think that in most cases I'm streaming him, especially if I'm looking for strikeouts. But you have any worries about throwing Kumar Rocker out tomorrow?
If you need strikeouts, go for it. I don't know if he has enough to get a win. So
yeah,
definitely depending on what you're looking for.
That's true. David Festa against Miami, coming off of not a great one, but a fantastic matchup here, Bubba. Festa has disappointed me a little bit, but I do love the skills, and I do love the matchup.
Yeah, I agree. Skills are great. Matchup's great. Ober gave up 4 early, but settled down on Monday. If you're looking for a little late push of the season, I could see rolling the dice with Festa.
Angelo mentioned Reese Olson in the chat here. He's also on the list for his start against Tampa. What's your interest level for that one?
It just depends on how far Olson goes in the game, but phenomenal matchup. Rays have been pretty garbage of late, especially a lot of strikeouts.
Let's move into Friday. There's just one. And again, these are a little bit dicey as we go further and further along. You never really know 100%. But as of right now, JP Sears lined up to start against Seattle. He's been not too bad in the second half. Seattle's been a great matchup. What's your interest level here, Bubba?
I like Sears. Just make sure you need it, because the one thing I'll say is they have turned it on in September. 267 average, 125 WRC plus versus lefties. And a lot of that is J-Rod warming up in a big way. So if you really need, strikeouts and a chance to win, sure. If you're pretty safe, be cautious with this one.
Fred Dinger in the chat, we just mentioned Cantillo. Bubba is a fan of using Joey Cantillo. For Saturday, a couple of guys I've highlighted. Nick Martinez at the Cubs, Andre Palante at your Giants, Bubba. What's your thoughts on these two?
Cubs are one of the hottest teams in baseball right now, so I'm going to steer clear of that one. So no attacking the Cubs in my mind. Palante, if you're desperate. A lot of pitch to contact there, but he has pitched really well. I'll give him that much over the last month or so. So if you're looking for some upside, I get it. Problem is he's going opposite Blake Snell. Win might be tricky.
I put Bubba through the ringer there. Just quick fire streaming questions, but that is kind of the group of options. Things will mix around a little bit, but Bradford, Basso, Kumar Rocker for strikeouts, David Festa, Reese Olson, Andre Palante. Those are kind of the main ones here over the last few days. For Sunday, I'm not even going to try and recommend anything because I have no idea what's going to happen for anybody. But through Saturday, those are our favorite picks. Just for fun, I don't know how fun this is in Baltimore, but Eloy Jimenez dropped down optioned to AAA. What does his future look like at this point? Is he somebody that's going to slowly fade out of baseball, you think, or does somebody give him another chance to actually live up to that potential? It feels like we're kind of running out of time at this point.
Yeah, I think he'll get a shot just because baseball is so bleak and he'll be affordable, I'd imagine. But it's been bad between injuries, lack of power when he does play, and then getting basically traded for and sent to AAA. Not looking good for Eloy, that's for sure. They might need to hang his jersey up in the little dugout once again to bring him back to life.
They're not hanging it in the rafters anywhere. I'll tell you that at this point. Rowdy Tellez, I saw you mentioned it on your Substack. I don't understand why teams do this. I saw some people trying to defend the Pirates and say, no, you know what? He didn't get the at-bats. He didn't. They cut him with a few games left so he wouldn't get there. It's just a scummy move over a couple $100,000. I think it was 200 or 250K. People don't forget this type of thing, Bubba. Teams, players, guys looking to sign. It's not like Pittsburgh is a big free agent destination anyway. Do you think this has much of an impact on their ability to bring in players at all?
It will. It will probably give like Paul Skeens re-signing with the team, stuff like that. There's gonna be a lot of trepidation in those thoughts. Let's put it that way. You could have let him play Tuesday, get 4 plate appearances, and DFA him on Wednesday. That's a very simple fix to the problem. It wasn't like you're bringing up a top prospect. You brought up Joshua Palacios, kind of know who he is, and Leover Peguero and his 88 WRC plus. So you didn't really. Neither one's a first baseman to top it off. Just throwing that out there. You could have waited a day. You could have done the right thing. There was no need to make this move. Pirates, bad teams stay bad teams.
I don't even know why they would have needed to make it. Like, the season's done on Sunday. Let them finish out the year. It's just embarrassing a player who, albeit he wasn't amazing for them this year, but there was a stretch where Rowdy Tellez was really, really good.
And they were in the playoff hunt at that time. They were contending for like a while. Like, they were actually good. So yeah.
I just think it's a bad thing to do to a good guy, to somebody around baseball who is known as a good guy. I love him from my time in Toronto. Obviously, he's not a superstar, but you shouldn't do this kind of thing to players. The Angels did it last year, a similar thing when there was somebody who could have gotten some kind of bonus or some health relief thing, and they cut him. I think it was a catcher. I can't remember exactly what it is. Somebody listening is going to know what I'm talking about and think I'm insane for not remembering it. But there are these little weird people moves that people don't forget. Especially those players around the league who are going to be looking for deals as free agents. But let's move on and let's talk about the 3 up and 3 down quickly. Tariq Skubal, to nobody's surprise, 7 innings, 7 strikeouts, and no earned runs. Jorge Polanco, who has been on the down or just ignored a lot this season. I have dragged his name through the mud because he was one of my most drafted players. He very much disappointed me. He went 4 for 4 yesterday with a home run. And then Vaughn Grissom also had probably his best game of the season. Hasn't been much this year, but he did have a 3-hit game himself. So I wanted to highlight a couple names there along with Tariq Skubal who haven't really done much. Jorge Polanco and Vaughn Grissom, Bubba, you going to be buying the quote-unquote dip next season on either?
Maybe. I'm not going to say no, but Polanco injury concerns throughout the entire season. And Grissom, we know the talent's there, but what's playing time look like? There's a lot of question marks for both of them.
I think I'd rather take a chance on Grissom, considering what we saw when he first came up. He's got a good ballpark, a decent team, where with Polanco, I don't know at this point. 3 down, Giancarlo Stanton, the golden sombrero of the night. J.P. Crawford also had one as well. Brandon Pfaadt, 2 2/3, 4 earned runs, 6 hits, and 2 walks. Not good stuff from Brandon Pfaadt to end the season. And then a surprise name on the down, Logan Gilbert, 4 earned runs and 3 homers over 6 innings yesterday against Houston. Not his best. It wasn't terrible. Usually the down is a bit worse than that, but no starting pitcher, I don't think, gave up more than 4 earned runs yesterday. So it was hard to find a true blow up. But Bubba, that will take us for the last time this season into our best bets of the day for Wednesday. And Joey P and the Welsh are still up on the graphic. You'll get them back on Friday for the finale, but you're stuck with us for one more time here on the best bets of the day. presented by Bet365. Bubba, how are you wrapping up your season here on Leading Off?
We're staying on the plus money train here. We're going Taylor Ward over 1.5 total bases at plus 125. Talked about how good he's been lately. Gets a great matchup there against Davis and the Chicago White Sox. Had another good game on Tuesday. Corbin Carroll, I think the D-backs bats wake up versus Tyler Black or Mason Black pitching for the Giants on Wednesday night. Corbin Carroll over 2.5 hits, runs, and RBIs at plus 125. Might do that in one at bat. And then Joey Cantillo. We talked about him earlier, over 5.5 strikeouts at plus 130. I was shocked to see plus 130 on this one as the Reds strike out a ton. And Cantillo's been getting 6+ Ks in his outing. So I like that one quite a bit.
Cantillo, you are interested in him. He had that amazing start. What was it? Against the White Sox. It was like 10 strikeouts, 7 shutout innings. He has, I mean, it is the White Sox, but he still has a lot in him. I think that he could be somebody that's pretty interesting. And tonight, I mean, plus money, plus 130 for 5.5 strikeouts does feel pretty attainable for him. My bets, I'm starting off with one that I hit the last time. I'm doing the exact same thing over here. David Peterson over 2.5 earned runs. I don't trust him. I haven't trusted him throughout this streak. The underlying data is not good. He's still got command issues. The strikeouts aren't really there. And I think Atlanta, just based on the way we're trending here, I think that they're going to get to him tonight. They don't even need to really get to him for this one to hit. They just need to get 3 earned runs. I think that is definitely going to happen tonight. Shouldn't say definitely, but I think there's a good chance. Austin Gomber is the second one. How can we wrap up a season without betting against Austin Gomber? It's St. Louis coming into town. They're not world beaters necessarily, but Austin Gomber is not very good, folks. I mean, he has the odd start here and there where he's okay, but by and large, he's somebody that you can target. So I'm taking plus 3.5 earned runs. That one is at plus 105. A little bit trickier at over 3.5, but I'm pretty confident that he's not going to have a great start tonight. And then we're wrapping it up. I'm going to be on the right side of history here. We're taking the Angels money line to beat the White Sox tonight and get them into the history books. I think that there's only so long the White Sox can hold this one off. They won yesterday. I don't see it happening again. So those are our best bets of the day. And Bubba, the final thing to do on the season here for Leading Off is pick our final home run call for today and I guess through the final weekend of the season.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the well. Thought Monday would be the day for it. We're going back to it on Wednesday. I already picked Corbin Carroll over 2.5 runs, hits, and RBIs. I said it might happen in one at bat, and that at bat will be a home run for Corbin Carroll. I really do believe Mason Black is not that great. If he shuts down the D-backs, I would be just amazed and happy at the same time. But yeah, give me some Corbin Carroll going deep on Wednesday in the desert.
I am targeting Austin Gomber once again here, and it'll be, I believe they were teammates at one point. His old teammate, Nolan Arenado.
No, they were trading for each other.
That's right. That's right. They were trading for each other. I forgot. My God.
It was Austin Gomber and a bucket of balls and a couple other things for Arenado and cash.
Some shoelaces. Yeah. A bunch of spare parts. I'd totally forgotten that. That is pretty funny. But Nolan Arenado, I think he's going to take Gomber yard tonight in Colorado. It's been a bit of a down season for him, but I think the situation is right for, as Angelo says, Austin Goober to get hit around a little bit tonight. But guys, this is bringing us to the end of the show. I can't promise we're going to cut to black and do a Sopranos type of ending or anything like that. But I want to just take a moment to say thank you to Fantasy Pros, to everybody who let us take the reins here for the show, to Joe Pisapia, to Chris Welsh. They're going to be back on Friday, but I really do appreciate them trusting us with their baby over the final however many shows we did, Bubba, 15, 17, 20 shows or so. It's been a hell of a lot of fun getting to talk here with you 3 to 4 times a week, and we get to talk a lot more, putting the shows together and stuff. So thank you to Fantasy Pros. Thank you to Joe and Chris. And thank you to you guys who continue to listen to the show. I know how strange it can be when you're listening to your favorite podcast and there's a different voice and you're probably thinking, what the hell? Some people might just turn it off, and I wouldn't blame them, but you guys stuck around, whether it's on the podcast side, on the YouTube side. So truly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you to everybody who helped make the show what it is. Bubba, any final thoughts before we do sign off here?
No, it's been awesome. It's been a pleasure getting to do it with you, my friend. You know, we usually record a couple times a year anyways. It was fun to get to do it multiple times a week now. Watching your ascension in this world is a lot of fun. So looking to see what's next in store for you. But yeah, I've always enjoyed this. This is my 3rd year kind of being one of the September subs. It's been great. And I'm looking forward to probably doing it again next year with you. See where it goes. But thanks to all the listeners in here, and I'll just keep support us off and do whatever we do. But if you guys like football, guys that like to talk baseball from time to time, Friday's your show. But if not, Joe and I have other content for you can check out. So enjoy, and thanks to everybody for listening.
Yeah, make sure you follow Bubba over on Twitter. He's severely underfollowed at BDentric, BDENTREK. I'm at Joe Rico 99, but go prioritize Bubba. I should not have more followers than this guy does. It's ridiculous. Go ahead and hit the follow button over there. But guys, I hate to actually end the show, but that's going to do it for us for today, for this season for us. But there's going to be leading off with Joe and Welsh on Friday. I do have some plans throughout the off season. We're going to be doing some stuff. We won't go away. There will still be content on the baseball side. Make sure you guys are helping us out with those subscriptions, ratings, reviews, doing all that stuff to help the numbers stay steady throughout the off season. But guys, for the final time this season, for KC Bubba, I am Joe Rico. Good luck down the stretch and have a great night. Cheers.